In this video, we are going to see the second part of the concept of command line arguments. We will execute some programs and see some related theory concepts. So till now, we have seen that command line arguments are the arguments that are passed using the command prompt or the command user interface of your computer, desktop, or personal computer. So now we know that we pass the count of the command line arguments, and that will get stored in the variable argc. Instead of argc, it is not compulsory to write only argc. You can write anything, any valid identifier like a or count or anything can be written in place of argc. Similarly, argv is an array which will store the actual command line arguments. Okay, it actually stores the pointer to them. But in simple words, you can say that using the array argv, you can access the actual command line arguments that you have passed. Okay, and instead of argv, also you can have any other name of this array. Okay, argc is for argument count, argv is argument vector or argument value. It will store the actual values. And we know that the parameters or arguments we have to pass to the command line. Now argv of 0 will be what? The name of the program. So even if you don't pass any command line arguments other than the name of the program, you have to always pass the name of the program, which is considered as the first command line argument. So that will be stored as the element at the index 0. So argv of 0 is nothing but the name of the program. Argv of 1 will be the first command line argument which you are passing other than the name of the program. Or in total, it is the second command line argument. And argv of 2, 3, 4, 5, so on, you can go on. And argv of argc will be null. Okay, so this I'll explain to you once again. See, suppose this is your command line from which you are passing the arguments. Okay, and here let us see how the array will store the arguments. So whenever you compile your program, what you will type? gcc program name .c. Okay, program is compiled successfully if no errors. Then you have to execute it by typing the name of the program. Okay, and then if you do not pass any extra command line arguments, and if this is your array argv, and this is the index 0, index 1, index 2, index 3 and index 4, suppose, then this name will be the first command line argument. So using argv of 0, you will be able to access the name of the program. After this, suppose you pass any argument like 2, then this 2 is the, you can say, second command line argument or the first argument other than the name of the program. So 2 will get stored over here. So using argv of 1, you can access the command line argument 2. Okay, so now you have passed in total 2 command line arguments. So the value of argc will be 2. Which are the possible index or indices of the array which are storing the command line arguments? At the index number 0 and at the index number 1, you have the command line arguments, which is the name of the program, and 2. So the count is 2. So at the index 2, what will you have? Yes, anyone remembers? At the index 2, you will have the value null. Similarly, at index 3, 4, and so on, you will have the value null. Okay, so you can say that at argv of argc. In this case, what is the value of argc? 2. So you are saying that at argv of 2, in place of argc, it is nothing but value of argc is 2, right? So if you are saying argv of argc, means argv of 2. Okay. ARGV of ARGC is nothing but you want to say ARGV of 2 because ARGC value is 2. But at ARGV of 2, what do you have? You have at ARGV of 2, you have the value null. Okay, so ARGV of 2 will be what? ARGV of 2 will be null. Okay, so ARGV of ARGC is always null for every program. So that is why it is written here. ARGV of ARGC is always null. Okay. Now, if you pass the arguments, for example, first will be the name of the program. Then you pass the argument, suppose 2. Then you pass the argument 3. Then you pass the argument A, B, C, D. Okay. But suppose the argument has a space in between it. For example, A, there's some space, B. You want this A space B to be a single argument, but that is not possible because whenever you get a space in between two arguments, it considers them as two separate arguments. So 2 is one argument and 3 is one argument, ABCD is one argument, A is one argument, B is one argument. Like that it will consider. But if you want to say A space B is a single argument, then how you will do it? Okay, we'll execute the program. It will be clear for you. To have an argument with a space in between it, to have A space B as an argument, as a single argument, what you have to do? You have to type A space B within double quotes or single quotes, preferably double quotes. So what you'll do? Double quote A space B, close your double quote. So A space B will be considered as a single argument. Okay. So in total, how many arguments you have passed? You have passed name, which is one argument. Then second argument is 2. Third argument is 3. Fourth argument is ABCD. And fifth argument will be A space B. Okay, so ARGC value, that is the count of the total number of command line arguments, will be 5. Okay. Now let us run this program. So how you will write the program? Suppose first you will write printf number of command line arguments is %d, because number of command line arguments is an integer. What should I print the value of which variable? Of ARGC. Okay. Then I will print the command line arguments. So there are number of command line arguments that I would like to pass. Then you can use a for loop as well. For declare the I variable. For I equal to 0, I less than which value? ARGC, right? Because we know that suppose I'm passing 3 command line arguments, then they will be occupied at the index 0, 1 and 2, right? If I pass 3 arguments from the command line, they will be stored at which index? It will be stored at ARGV of 0, at ARGV of 1 and at ARGV of 2, right? So you can say that I variable in your for loop should go from 0 up to, I should go from 0 up to which one? ARGC minus 1. What is ARGC minus 1? ARGC minus 1 is 3 minus 1. That means 2. So 0 to 2 index are occupied by the command line arguments, and that is what you have to access, right? You have to access from ARGV of 0, you have to access ARGV of 1 and ARGV of 2, right? This is your normal array. If the array size is n, the maximum possible index will be n minus 1, right? If you have n elements in your array, the index will be from 0 to n minus 1. So if you have the total number of arguments as ARGC, then the maximum index will be ARGC minus 1. Okay. So now for I equal to 0 up to ARGC minus 1, I will do I plus plus and access each value. So I will print that argv of %d is equal to %s, because the arguments that you enter through your command line will be stored in the form of a string. That's why %s. Right? We have seen this in the previous video as well. Argv of I. Okay. And let me give a \n as well. Right? And through your dev C++ IDE, it is not possible to enter command line arguments, right? It is giving some garbage value. So as you can see, what we have done for the number of elements stored in argv, we are going to print one by one. Okay. So I'll open my command line, cd desktop. You can click on tab to autocomplete \C programming language folder within the double quote, and write whichever folder name you want. You can click tab again and again to reach the particular folder. I have reached that folder. Now I'll compile by typing gcc. Hello is the name of the program .c. Successful compilation since no error message has been displayed. Then I have to run this or execute that for that program name. Then I'll pass the argument 2, then 3. Now my next argument needs a space in between it. For example, if the argument is the teddy bear, then what I have to type within double quotes, I must write teddy space bear and close the double quote. So now how many arguments you have passed? Hello is one argument, 2 is one argument, 3 is one argument, and teddy space bear is the single argument. So total 4 command line arguments. Just a minute. Let us go for this code. There was some error in that. So we'll again compile. And now I will run by passing the arguments. So now you can see that total number of arguments that I have passed are 4. Hello, 2, 3, and teddy bear as a single argument, which I am printing here. Hello, 2, 3, and teddy bear. Okay. We have seen this program last time also. If count is 1, you will type or print no extra command line arguments. But if count is greater than equal to 2, then total number of arguments you will be able to print out. Right? The same program we have executed last time, but this time we are passing a command line argument which has a space in between its name. Okay. So the third command line argument is including a space in between, and it is considered as a single argument if you type it within your double quotes. I hope you understood this program. Then next program, you might be thinking that we are simply passing any argument name, right? But there is a meaning for this. For example, this program. What is happening? You have to calculate the sum of all the command line arguments. So in the array argv, all the integer values will be stored in the form of a string. So first, the values which are in the form of a string have to be converted to integer, and then you have to add them. So first argument will be the name of the program. In your array, the first argument will be the name of your program. The next argument can be an integer value, but it will be stored in the form of a string, right? So first you'll have to convert this string into an integer. So maybe you're passing three arguments, 2, 3, 4. Then you'll have to calculate the sum of 2, 3, 4. But 2, 3, 4 is in the form of a string. So you have to convert it to an integer using the built-in function a to I. Okay, and then add it. Okay, but suppose you want to calculate the sum of floating point values. For example, 2.1, 2.5, 3.5, 4.6. You have to calculate the sum of floating point values. Then you have to use the conversion function from string to float. For that, you have to use the function a to f. Okay, you have to use this conversion function a to f. If you have to convert integers, if you have to convert the string to an integer, then which function you'll use? String to integer, then a to I. Okay, and in the as a parameter you have to pass the string value. Okay, so that is what we are doing in this program. We have to calculate the sum. So iterate through the for loop. Sum is equal to sum plus a to f, means string to float. But what you have to convert? The values which are stored in the array argv. So one by one we'll convert them to floating point value, and then we will add it to the sum. Okay, and then we'll print the sum finally. So suppose you have only entered the program name, that means argv of 0 is the first command line argument, which is the name of the program. But to calculate the sum, minimum you need two values, right? Minimum between two values you can calculate the sum. For example, 2 plus 3. You need two arguments or two operands, 2 and 3, right? And if you convert the name of your program to integer, it is not valid, right? So two arguments additional you must have other than the name of the program. Okay, so first parameter will be the name of your program. Next parameter can be 2 and 3. Minimum two arguments other than the name of the program. So that is why I have written if argc is less than 3, that means minimum you need total 3 command line arguments, name, 2 and 3. Minimum you need 3 command line arguments. But if you have the number of command line arguments as 1 or 2, that means less than 3 command line arguments if you have, then you must write input not given or invalid input. Or you can say more input values needed, right? So minimum 3 you need. If less than 3 input arguments you have given, command line arguments, then it should say more input values needed, and it will iterate through it. So let us see how this works. For floating point values, you have to use the variable float sum equal to 0.0 initially, or simply equal to 0. 0.0 is nothing but 0, so it is okay. And then use this conversion function, and using %f print the sum finally by the end of the program. Okay. So now I will run it through my command line. So I have to first go into my desktop, change the directory, autocomplete within C programming folder, and within the C day 5 unit 3 part 1 folder. Okay, click enter, then compile the program by typing the command gcc hello.c and then enter. No errors. So you have to execute it now. Hello, and then the number of arguments. Suppose I pass only one argument, so extra additional to the program name. So total arguments are 2, but 2 is less than 3, so it should print the answer that more input values needed, right? More input values needed has got printed. So now I have not made any change in my program, so I can directly execute without recompiling. And now I'll pass some more arguments. For example, 2.3, 4.4, 1.6. Now total command line arguments is 4. 4 is greater than 3. So this condition is not satisfied. So you will be able to print the sum is whatever the calculated sum. Okay. So the sum is 8.30000. 6 digits precision after decimal point for floating point value. So you're getting 00000. So let me show you the sum. 2.3 plus 4.4 plus 1.6 is 8.3. Okay, I have calculated it in front of you, and that same 8.3 you're getting over here. So this way, what is the benefit or what is the requirement? That you do not use scanf to accept the arguments, right? You don't need to use scanf to accept the numbers. How you are calculating the sum? By passing the numbers through the command line. You're not using scanf to accept the numbers from the user, but you can accept the numbers from the user through the command line. So this is how you can calculate the sum of the arguments without using scanf to accept the arguments from the user. Next, we will discuss an interview question now. The question is, what is the output of this following program? So you have used hash include stdio.h. Then you have declared a function, user defined function, void fun, and you have defined that function over here. Okay. And in your main function, you are using only argc. You have not used the argv. So argc, you're going to print the argument count. And then this count of arguments that you have passed through your command line, you will pass as an argument to your user defined function fun. Okay. And then this argc value will get copied to the header over here. Okay. Means this argc, whatever the count is, will get stored in the variable I. Okay. And then if I is less than 4, means if argument count is less than 4, I am calling my main function through a user defined function. See, this we have never seen before. What we are doing here, we are calling the main from a user defined function. All this time within the main we were calling functions. We have never called the main function from some other function, but it is possible. Execution will start from main. Okay. The program execution will start from the main, from here. Then inside main, you're calling the function, user defined function. Then that function will get executed. Within that function, you're calling main. So control will jump back to the main. Okay. Then within the main, again, you will call that user defined function. So control will jump back over here to the definition part of the fun function. Then again, you'll call main. So again, control will jump to the main definition. Then again, you're calling the fun. So this is a type of indirect recursion, right? One function main is calling a function fun, and that function fun is calling within itself the function main, right? So this is indirect recursion. From fun you'll go here, then main you'll go here, then fun again you'll go here, again you'll go for main. So what is the base case so that you can exit this recursion? As long as I is less than 4, you will call main. Once I becomes equal to 4, you will stop this recursion, right? So what will be the possible output of this program? We will see. So first, through your command line, you will pass the arguments. What you will do, you'll first, to execute this program, you'll have to first compile it by typing gcc. Name of the program, suppose, is hello.c. Successful compilation if no errors. As you can see, there are no errors. Then you have to execute this program. So you'll pass first the name of the program, and then some and only the name of the program. Okay. So what is the value of argument count now? The value of argument count is 1, because the first command line argument is the name of the program, right? If I had passed after hello, I had passed an argument, suppose AB, then the value of argument count would be 2, because total 2 command line arguments. But in this case, I'm passing the value of the command line argument as hello. So the count of the command line arguments is 1. So if there is only one argument, the argc value is 1. So initially, argc value is 1. So I'll print 1. Okay. At the output, what you will get? At the output, you will print, this statement will get executed. So 1 will get printed at the output. Then you're passing this count, that is, you're passing 1 to the function. So control will jump to this function. Now I will become equal to 1. Okay. Value of I will become equal to 1. Now 1 is less than 4, condition satisfied. So what will happen? Plus plus I means the value of I is now the updated value, that is 2. So 2 will get passed to the main. So control will jump to the main, and this argc will now hold the value 2. right? ARGC will now hold the value 2. After that, what will happen? Printf, so I have to print the value of ARGC. Now the value of ARGC is 2, so at the output you'll get 2. Then 2 will be passed to your user defined function as a parameter. So then control will jump to this. Now I will become equal to what? 2. Now if I is equal to 2, you will check the condition. 2 less than 4, condition is true. So then what you will do? The value will be plus plus I. That will be passed to main. So what you are passing to main? You are passing the value 3. So now 3 will get passed to your main. Now 3 is getting passed to main. So ARGC value is 3. Now you will print the value of ARGC. So output will be 3. Then you'll pass 3 to fun function. So now I will become equal to 3. If I is equal to 3, we'll check the condition. 3 less than 4, condition is true. So we'll pass the value to the main, that is plus plus I. So I plus plus I means nothing but plus plus 3. Plus plus 3 is nothing but 4. So 4 will get passed to your main. Then your argument count will become equal to 4. 4 is the value of ARGC. So now you'll print 4. And then you'll pass 4 to the fun function. Now I will become equal to 4. I is equal to 4. 4 less than 4 false. So if condition is not satisfied, what will happen? You will return. Where you will return? You will return to. Now if condition is not satisfied, so fun function where it will return, the control will return to after the fun function over here, and then return 0 means end of your program. So the output will be 1 2 3 4. Okay, so you run this program on your own using command line arguments. Now some of you are using the C programming on your mobile phones. So through your Android phones or mobile phones, executing the programs of command line arguments may be difficult or maybe impossible. So it is optional for those people who are using the program running on the mobile phones, or if they are running the program on their phones. But those who have laptop, desktop, or personal computer, there you can easily execute the command line argument programs. So for you it is compulsory to execute. But those of you who are using the phones, or if you don't have a computer, laptop, or PC, you cannot execute command line argument programs. Or if you can execute, well and good. So those who are able to execute, only they will be able to execute. Okay, if you are not able to execute, no problem, but understand the concept. So we have executed some programs. So what all we have seen in this lecture? We have seen that if we want to pass an argument which has a space in its name, then we'll pass it within double quotes. Then if we want to convert the arguments to integer, float, or double, we have to use certain functions. Now just a minute, kindly wait. If you want to convert a string to integer, you will have to use the function str, sorry, a to I. This function you have to use to convert string to integer. To convert string to float, a to f. And to convert string to double, you have to use str TOD, means string to double. Okay, these three functions you can use. So you can convert from one data type to another. Means you can convert from string data type to any of these, that is integer, float, or double, using these built-in functions. Okay, then we have seen how we can solve this particular question in which we are calling the main function again and again. Right, we can call the main function from other functions also, and we can use the recursion also. Okay, so this is all about the command line arguments. Okay, it is just used to pass the arguments through the command line instead of using scanf. Okay, and you can use the count of the arguments, and the actual arguments will be stored in an array using the array of pointers concept. Okay, so I hope you understood this. If any doubt, you can contact me. Thank you.